President Donald Trump has basically started beefing with Colombia out of nowhere. And keep in mind, Colombia is a bit of an ally and has been a longstanding ally of the United States. Now, this all started after the Colombian President Gustavo Petro accused the US of murder after one of the Trump administration's strikes against a boat. Now, this was a boat in Colombian waters, and in response to the attack, Petro claimed that the US struck basically a fisherman boat and killed a Colombian fisherman in the process. US government officials have committed a murder and violated our sovereignty in territorial waters. Fisherman Alejandro Carranza had no ties to the drug trade, and his daily activity was fishing. The Colombian boat was adrift and had its distress signal up due to an engine failure. We await explanations from the US government. Now, while the Trump administration claims that these boats that they're striking are essentially drug boats with cartel members and gang members who are trying to traffic drugs, they have not provided much evidence to the American people or to anyone really to show that they're striking the right boats. Remember, they're doing this without any type of oversight. Congress is out to lunch. I mean, they've ceded so much power to the executive branch. And so there are real concerns that innocent people are getting killed through these strikes. Besides which, the so-called effort to fight the devastating fentanyl epidemic in America has nothing to do with what's happening in striking these Venezuelan boats, these fishing boats. It's really about spurring regime change in Venezuela, which is something that the Trump administration doesn't even try to hide. They're pretty overt about it. And the Trump administration in the first term attempted to do this on multiple occasions to install Juan Guaido as the new leader of Venezuela, and those efforts failed. So now Trump is accusing Petro of being a drug dealer because he can't ever take any backlash for anything he does, and vowed to cut Colombia off from any US aid. He says that President Petro of Colombia is an illegal drug leader, strongly encouraging the massive production of drugs in big and small fields all over Colombia. It has become the biggest business in Colombia by far, and Petro does nothing to stop it, despite large-scale payments and subsidies from the United States that are nothing more than a long-term ripoff of America. And then he made his big announcement, which was, as of today, these payments or any other form of payment, meaning foreign aid to Colombia, or subsidies will no longer be made to Colombia. And Trump added that Petro better close up these killing fields immediately, or the United States will close them up for him, and it won't be done nicely.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different factors here. So number one, Petro said at one point that maybe US troops shouldn't follow Trump's orders. So that, of course, that gets under Trump's skin, but that got under a lot of people's skin.
That gets under my skin too.
Yeah, I see.
He shouldn't have said that. Who are you to tell, a foreign?
What are you, Israel?
No, I know, but seriously, like I don't like that behavior when it's Israel. I'm not gonna like it if it's Colombia either.
Yeah.
Don't tell the military in the United States to not listen to the commander-in-chief, even if I don't like what the commander-in-chief is up to.
I know, but he's not an American. He's representing his own country.
Right.
And America is bullying everyone on behalf of Israel. The reason he said it is because he's saying that the mass genocide in Gaza is unbearable, which is what we're gonna get to. But anyway, you could have whatever feelings you want about that, but he says that that's certainly something that upsets Trump and upsets other people. That's legitimate, okay, that as a source of frustration with Colombia. But the main issue here is all the left-wing governments are targeted.
Yes.
Colombia is historically our top ally in Latin America. But what we've been cutting them off since they elected someone left-wing. Why do they care about left or right-wing? Well, the reason is because the left wing, and this is a testament to the left wing throughout the world, tries to protect the natural resources of their country for their own people.
They tend to nationalize their natural resources.
Yeah, but I don't want you to think, just socialism. No, they just say, hey, like Sarah Palin did in Alaska, this is our oil, or these are our bananas, or whatever it might be. And so we just want you to pay a fair market price. but our companies don't want to pay a fair market price. They want to pay much, much lower. So that's why we invade them, attack them, bully them on behalf of corporations who give money to American politicians, not on behalf of American citizens. And that's got a long history, obviously, of the US doing that in Latin America, hence the phrase banana republic. But he has a third thing that he did that is unacceptable. By the way, when we cut them off from subsidies, they have nothing left to lose. Then they want to defy us even more.
Of course, and
right?
In fact, I mean the BRICS nations, like that alliance seems to be strengthening as a result of some of Trump's foreign policy. I mean, India, also a longtime partner of the United States, ally of the United States, due to this trade war, kind of soured on the US, and in fact went to one of those conferences that was put together by Russia, and there were all sorts of, let's just say, people who are not friends of the United States in attendance as well, right? So Iran participated and all of that. Saudi Arabia likes to play both sides, they were part of it. Nonetheless, and I did a lengthy video on that, you should check it out. Let me just give you a few more details, Cenk.
No, let me just finish the thought and then give us more details. So right now, we need Colombia's help in fighting rebel groups there that are problematic and actually do drug dealing, right? And now Colombia has less incentive to help us fight that group because we're not giving them any money. A lot of times our subsidies are just bribes to make sure we get what we want, except of course for Israel, which is we owe them apparently, etc. But that brings us to the third factor when it comes to the Colombian president. The real reason, the number one reason why the US is furious with him is because he said this statement after attending the United Nations. We need a powerful army of the countries that do not accept genocide. And of course, he's referring to Israel and what's happening in Gaza. It's graphic 7. That is why I invite the nations of the world and their peoples, more than anything, as an integral part of humanity to bring together weapons and armies. We must liberate Palestine. And when President Petro said that, the die was cast. Israel says, America, you have to destroy him on our behalf. And America is now busy destroying him on behalf of Israel. Anna, back to you.
Okay, no, just keep going.
Okay, I was gonna get to Venezuela.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so Jonathan Larsen has a piece in his Substack, your former managing editor here, that tells you what's going on in Venezuela. So there's two folks who are trying to start that coup that Anna was referring to. Former CIA official Gary Bernstein and his top ally, Martin Rodil. Who is Rodil? He's a Venezuelan-born Israeli citizen who's worked with the US government. Always pops up somehow, okay? And so what are they doing? Well, they are giving us a steady stream of false information. We'll put the link to the article down below in the description box. US officials have praised Rodil in the past for mediating a pipeline of incriminating evidence against Maduro in Venezuela. Well, that sounds good until you hear this. A 2016 Bloomberg Businessweek profile, however, declared some of Rodil's claims about Venezuela groundless. So he's making up things about Venezuela in order to get us to attack him. Why is he doing that? Rodil has been, quote, a fixer for wealthy Venezuelans who want to get out without landing in a US jail or losing their wealth. By the way, that's code word for they have done massive illegal activities, probably drug dealing, and they want to make sure they don't go to jail, so they get a fixer like Rodil to make up incriminating evidence against their opponents in Venezuela, get us to attack those opponents while they try to get out of jail free and take all their assets. In fact, Rodil apparently has another specialty, and that is asset recovery, okay? So if you have illegal assets in Venezuela, these two liars are gonna help you get it out by lying to the US government. Rubio is gonna love those lies. He's gonna take those and go, fantastic. This helps me intimidate, bully, and eventually topple Venezuela's government. So there is, as always, one more factor. Years ago, Rodil's financial investigations helped shine a spotlight on Venezuelan ties with Hezbollah and Iran. The prospect of nuclear collaboration was floated.
No, it wasn't.
So he's saying, no, we have to attack Venezuela. and all the drug dealers and all the illegal robber barons and stuff that I represent, I need to get their assets out. I need to get them out. We need to attack. They're doing nuclear weapons of mass destruction. Okay, these are the same lunatics that made up the ghost of Hugo Chavez fixing the elections. If you read further down in the article, he connects them to the nonsense about, oh yeah, it was the Venezuelans that fixed the 2020 election. Everything they say is a lie, which leads to the last comment here. But Bloomberg wrote that, quote, some of the information he passed on that Iran was about to place missiles in Venezuela, for example, proved groundless. So they are making things up to make sure that we attack Venezuela for the purposes of their clients, wealthy robber barons, and probably drug dealers. We'll see. You read the article for yourself. That's my opinion. And perhaps, again, as always, Israel gets into the mix and says, oh yeah, war and more war. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.